It's easy to hear your favorite artist on WFPK from wherever you are. Listen on your smart speaker, live stream from our website at WFPK.org from Louisville Public Media.
Consequence Podcast Network.
Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence of Sound, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Hey, if you're checking us out for the first time, or maybe you've checked us out before, but you're not already a subscriber, now's a good time to do that because we put out new interviews every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if this is your type of thing, you like hearing how the artist makes their arts, hit that subscribe button. We'll bring brand new interviews to you, like I said, 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's a great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones and know what's happening in the music world. And of course, you can find us at all the major podcast hotspots like iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you like to get your podcast from. Hit that subscribe button. I'm Kyle Meredith, and today I'm going to be talking with Alec Benjamin. Now, he's got a brand new record called These Two Windows that we're going to get into. Hearing about ties to his Leonard Cohen fandom. Much like myself, he is a fan of Leonard Cohen's poetry and music, so I want to hear where that came from and what that means to the art that he's making right now, as well as some stuff a little bit outside of this record. In fact, he put out this one-off single called 6 Feet Apart. Yes, it is written about the pandemic, but it's got some interesting lyrical twists in there, so it's not lyrically specifically about the pandemic, or at least it's not how I hear it anyway. So I want to hear about learning how to write topically, if that's something he enjoyed or not, as well as being bilingual. You know, someone who does speak a couple languages, what's the possibility of writing in different languages sometime in the future? We'll also get an update about what he's been up to during the quarantine. That includes co-writing and collaborations. And he says he's got a lot of songs left over, enough songs to make a part 2 to These Two Windows, which is something he wants to do a lot sooner than later. So time to get into it, talking about the record These Two Windows. It's Kyle Meredith with Alec Benjamin.
Hey, Kyle.
Man, I've enjoyed listening to the new record so much with These Two Windows, and even the new song that's been out there with 6 Feet Apart. I love what you're doing out there. I know the songs have got a lot going on, but maybe I thought, what a lot of your audience is going to want to know that you mentioned on Corden the other day is you have a new dog.
Well, to be honest, it's my parents' dog, so technically I'm just like an uncle, I suppose. I don't know, it doesn't really make sense, but it's been nice. It's been nice to have a dog to sort of like give me something else to focus on while I've been stuck in my house. But I'm kind of just like I'm getting a little restless, to be honest. I'm like pretty ready for this whole thing to be over. I know it's not really my choice, but
I think I don't think you're alone in that sentiment right there. And I know that's especially got to ring true when you do have a new record. I mean, this is something that is to be celebrated. The music of These Two Windows and what you would normally be doing, what every artist would normally be doing with promoting the record right now. And I want to hear about this album, too, because there's a lot happening. There's a lot of stories going on in this. And what it sounds like to me is, these are your stories of the world swirling around you. I don't know if that's accurate, but was there a message that you wanted to convey on this album?
Sure, there wasn't necessarily like one unified message, but I suppose like what I really wanted to convey was just sort of my perspective on things that are happening in the world around me, and I don't think that there's one specific thing that I wanted to say. I just sort of wanted to share the world through my lens.
Well, I know storytelling, especially in your way, in current pop music, that's not something that we always hear, and you do have a really poetic way of doing it. Do you have to approach your songwriting with any sort of intentional balance when you're trying to tell a full story like you do?
It depends on what the objective is, I suppose, but when I make music that is for people other than myself, the balance is sort of making sure that the melody is right and the music is good, so that it's not just totally a self-serving kind of thing. It's it also has to be commercially viable. I think that's the sort of the hardest line to walk, because I don't know, sometimes a song may be catchy or something, but if it's not meaningful enough, then I don't know. I'm not really sure. This whole thing is kind of I've been stuck in my house for a long time, and I can't really I don't know, I've lost perspective on the whole world, on everything really. This whole thing is definitely, I don't know, I don't think that, I don't know, I don't not necessarily think I took into consideration, like, how much, like, staying in my house for this long was really going to mess with my head. So excuse me if my answers are like, kind of disjointed. But yeah, I suppose the balance that I'm trying to walk when I do stuff is just making sure that, like, it's commercially viable, but also, like, fulfills and satisfies me, like, creatively. And yeah, I guess I'll find out if I have sort of walked that line well enough, after the album comes out.
Well, I read, and I think this was in your profile, the press sheet and everything, that you're a Leonard Cohen fan. I'm a huge Leonard Cohen fan. You were talking about reading his poetry. I can sense that again in your lyrics. I don't know if that's specifically where it comes from, but is there a direct line right there? I mean, where does your history and fandom for Cohen come from?
Yeah, I really like him a lot. I think that he's written some of, like, the best lyrics ever. So I found him actually at summer camp. Like, people, they sing, like, Hallelujah or whatever around, like, the campfire and stuff. And I was like, oh, it's, like, an amazing song. And I think everybody thought that it was by Jeff Buckley, but it's not, obviously. And so through that, I got into Leonard Cohen and started, like, reading his lyrics and stuff. And I think he's probably, like, my favorite poet.
To be honest, Buckley was my entry points into Leonard Cohen too, as it is with a lot of people when they take that. But then you get into that, the deeper. I mean, even the singles of that, late career era and everything. The man was putting out masterpieces right up until the end. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, he definitely was. I love, like, his sort of. He wrote, like, a poetry book, right before he died, and some of my favorite poems are in that book. You can see too, he was kind of like an angry guy as well. He wrote a lot of stuff about, like, how he didn't like Kanye West, which I thought was kind of funny.
I forgot about that. That's
but
true.
I suppose he was, like, kind of like a mad guy, and I kind of understand, like, but yeah, I thought that was interesting because, yeah, and maybe not a lot of people know that about him, but I think that he was, like, I don't know, it's interesting because I'm also a Kanye West fan, so to see, like, his grievances with, like, the way Kanye West was doing stuff, and then, like, I don't know, I thought it was really cool. He's, like, a really interesting dude, so that's one of the reasons why I like him. But I also like Paul Simon and John Mayer and things like that. I listen to a lot of different music and read a lot of different kinds of poetry, but those are, like, my favorite artists. I'm not really into, like, abstract stuff. I don't think it makes any sense. I think a lot of times abstract is just sort of like another word that people use when the art, they don't understand it, but they're afraid to admit it. And they also don't, like, understand, like, what they're doing. It's sort of just, like, very platitudinous, so they call it abstract when in reality it just doesn't mean anything. There's a lot of that out there.
Well, I'll bring that back around to the record because the storytelling, you can tell that it's personal, but it still is a connecting, and I think that's one of the one of the routes that most artists hope to go for, that you can do something. I mean, even in the latest single, I'll bring that up with Oh My God. I mean, the way I hear about that, I think from what I've read, is that sort of comments about, the fame that you have seen off that mixtape, which was immensely successful going into this.
It was sort of just like, for me, like, the music video ended up looking like that, but it wasn't supposed to be like that. I actually wanted the music video to be different, but then, like, the director was like, nah, like, this is what it should be like. And I was like, oh, it looks like, because I'm not, like, famous, But I think, like, what this song was, like, meant to outline is just, like, the pressure that I put on myself after, like, having had just, like, not even just, like other people or whatever. It's just sort of more like, I just got kind of tired of making music because, like I was saying before when you asked me, is there, like, a balance of, or is there, like, some sort of, like, balance that I have to tread when I'm making music? It's like, I feel like that was, like, the thing that really got to me too. It's just, like, worrying about whether or not, like, the songs were going to sell and stuff, and, like, having to deal with the business end of music, which is just, like, not, it's just made everything really kind of not that much fun, especially right now. Because, like, the thing that I like to do in music is I like to go and play the songs for people. I think that's what really makes the things enjoyable. And right now it's just sort of, like, all just, like, dealing with people that are not my fans. And it's made it, which is fine. I like doing that. But I also, I'm doing this as, like, a means to an end so that I can get out on the road. And right now there is no end. It's just the means. And it's, like, not fun anymore.
I wonder if there's the line drawn, because the way you've talked about this record, even, you did say it was a darker record, I think at one point, maybe due to being so alone on the road. If that's the case, it's sort of an interesting that this is how we are at the moment as well, almost like a continuation.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it could be. Some of the songs are, I don't know. I've like I said, I totally lost perspective. I have no idea. but it could be. I'm just ready to I'm ready for the songs to come out, and I have some other songs that I've been working on too that I actually wanted to tack onto this album, but I wasn't able to because of coronavirus. So I'm hoping that the restrictions free up enough in California to where I can get back into the studio soon and finish up some of those songs so I can put them out as sort of a part 2 to the album.
Does with 6 Feet Apart, is that part of what you're talking about, or did that one just arrive because of the pandemic?
It just came because of the pandemic. I thought it'd be fun to write a song about it, and it was sort of, and it was nice to get that out. That was cool.
With a song like that's written in such real time, a comment on something that's happening right now. Do you find that you write a song like that differently? Does it come around differently than you would something else that you've been able to sit on for a little while?
Yeah, I've never really done anything like that before, so it just kind of came out. I've never written a song while I'm in the moment. So yeah, it was interesting. I've never written a song like that over FaceTime. I've never recorded a song on my iPhone. It was the first time I ever did that. So it was really fun to do. But I know a lot of people are oh, it's so amazing that we have technology that we can do all this stuff with. We've advanced so much. And I agree that we definitely have, but if I see another person doing another live performance via Instagram Live, I'm gonna have to go over there and turn their phone off personally, because it's just, it's not, technology isn't that good,
Right.
I don't think I could take another one of those. But it was fun to make the song, but I don't think I would want to make another song like that. I'd rather go to the studio.
I also wonder, you're bilingual, right? I mean, you speak some Chinese. Do you ever?
Yeah, I do.
Do you ever think about working that into the music as well?
There was this guy I knew named Peter Su, who's he also speaks Mandarin, and he helped translate one of my songs into Chinese. And so I started using Weibo, which is a Chinese social media platform, and I sang it on there. But I'm not I don't have an intricate enough knowledge of the Chinese language that a native speaker would, in order to it's one thing to order dinner in Chinese, and it's another to write a poem in Chinese, and the level of sophistication is there's several orders of magnitude higher than it is to just order dinner. So I'm I can speak enough to impress the average native speaker, but not enough to be poetic in the language.
I mean, and it's almost an entirely different, I would imagine it's entirely different flow too. Similarly, I speak just enough Italian where I could help the police out with a lineup of who stole the old lady's purse, and that's about it.
Okay. Right. Yeah, well, I mean, that's pretty impressive.
I guess. I mean,
that's pretty good.
It's pretty specific is what it is.
Where did you learn how to speak Italian?
I ripped a pirated copy of Rosetta Stone a decade ago and taught myself some of that. But when I ripped it, I ripped every single language that they had. So I could have learned to speak Swahili or Mandarin or anything, and I went Italian instead. So
you should learn how to speak Swahili. That would be tight. You could go to Kenya. I would love to go to Kenya.
I would love to go anywhere right now. It's honestly, it doesn't even matter.
Swahili is a cool language.
Yeah.
I know how to say hello in Swahili. It's Jamba.
I don't. Yeah, you're ahead of me. You're already ahead of me. You're talking about going stir crazy, and obviously touring can't happen right now. And maybe this goes back to what you were talking about with not wanting to do something like 6 Feet Apart again. But co-writing can happen, and collaborations can happen. Are you able to do any more of that stuff? Have you, or is that kind of what you were already getting at right there?
Yeah, I mean, I have been able to do some while I've been in lockdown, but not as many as I would like to, and I'm not enjoying it as much as I thought I was going to. I liked it at first. It was nice, but I've been trying to take some time off of staring at my phone, and in order to write with the people during quarantine, you kind of have to use FaceTime a lot, so I took a little break from it.
Thinking of, when Ben Gibbard was doing the Postal Service, and it was sort of like that at the time. Of course, it was by choice and not by force, and I'm sure it's a much different thing when that's your only option.
Well, it's nice to have the option. I'm not complaining about that. I just miss the world.
Well, I totally understand. But in the meantime, and I do think this is important to say, the music that you have made is fantastic. And this record with these two windows, when it comes out, I know you're going to feel the love on this. I know you already are, because, those singles out there, they're showing it. People love this.
Oh, thanks.
Problem.
Thank you.
And Alec, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for doing this record and continuing to do what you do. I hope the Stir Crazy doesn't completely break you in two, and at some point we can catch you out on the road.
That'd be great. Thanks so much. Thanks for everything. I hope you have a nice day.
All right, you too, man. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
My thanks to Alec Benjamin. The new record is called These Two Windows. Thanks to Alec. Thanks to you for listening to this interview. Before you get out of here, if you're not already, of course, you can hit subscribe. You hit subscribe. We bring the new interviews to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's a lot of bang for your buck, especially because the buck itself is free. So head over to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you like to get podcasts from. Hit that subscribe button. And then after that, head to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres and music news and anniversary spins and bonus interviews. WFPK.org. Again, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Consequence of Sound has your music and film news. You can also like and follow along on the social media spots. You can find me at Kyle Meredith on almost all of them. And that does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.
Consequence Podcast Network.
Hey, I'm Jen, and I love horror movies.
I'm Mikey. I'm dead inside it. I also love horror movies.
And we really like to torture our friend Todd because he hates horror movies.
That I do. And that's why they call me the horror virgin.
That's the only reason we call him that.
That's no other reasons at all. None at all.
Whatever. So
every week we take him through the encyclopedia of horror, the good, the bad, the ridiculously Jack Frosts.
And then we make fun of it more or less.
Or explain its deceptive feminism.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I do. That's my thing.
And I'm the funny one. Our episodes drop on Monday, so check us out.